progress. Okay. I don't even remember what we did last week. That's a lie. I do remember. I don't remember exactly what I asked people to try and pay attention to. Ah, yes, okay. So hit me with some knowledge. Tell me how last week went, how successful we were, and 3, 2, 1, go.
Good.
Oh, my camera's not on.
Uh-oh. There.
That's Melissa in the back, but she's blurred. She yelled at me to
She
turn my
needs
camera on.
blur her. Blur her. It was pretty good. I added more fruits and vegetables. I got that progress done.
Cool.
And I tried to get better sources of protein.
Less
you pick
fat.
this time?
Doesn't necessarily make it better. It just means less fat.
Less fatty protein.
What did you
Turkey,
eat?
turkey, chicken. What else did I eat? I did eat some beef. Oh, we had carnitas yesterday. That was pretty good.
Yeah, the taco truck was good.
That's not super lean, unless
No.
did you use like
Pretty-
pork loin?
It was pretty
No,
good.
no.
It
It
was
was very, very tasty and
excellent.
indulgent. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
very good.
But in the morning I had eggs with tomato and spinach and avocado and onion and eggs and egg with egg whites, a big giant pile of all that stuff. So I was pretty well stuffed. I started out good.
I mean, carnitas are still probably a better option than a bunch of pastries, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Did not
it'll
have,
fill you up.
yeah, it was filling. And that taco
What?
truck tortillas, so they're like excellent.
Yeah, they're very good.
Do they use lard in them to make them very good?
Oh, probably.
I don't know.
We don't ask questions like that, Stephanie. Just eat it.
Yeah, that's
You
not the point.
So you
I
don't
like
have,
when they like soak up the grease from the meat and use that as what makes them crispy
Yeah.
on the griddle.
Oh, yeah, that's always good.
well, that's what Grandma Bear does. Grandma Bear put lard in her cinnamon rolls. That made them really good.
Oh, my God.
That was the
That's
first.
fun.
My mom never did that, but Billy's mom did. And they put, she's, the one they save the bacon grease and then they dig it out to cook. It's like gross. But
Wild.
I thought it was wonderful because I'd never had it before.
Mm. I'm on my phone to try and find something related to vegetables, and I don't recall what it was now. Damn it! I wanted to show you guys
Related
something.
to vegetables?
Yeah. Oh well. So essentially, what I hope, and you guys can give me some feedback because this is the first time I've run through this because I'm making this. I've already outlined it and prepared most of it, but I'm going through it again, essentially for the, I guess, second time before we do each of these meetings. I'm trying to layer on things that kind of make sense in their order. And lazy macros being probably what I think most people should be following that don't necessarily want to be super accountable and measure most of their food. Even though I guess if you're eating super duper clean and doing hand portion control, etc., you're already weighing and measuring your food with the 800 gram challenge and hitting your protein goals. But whatever. Without getting super duper deep into macros. So I hope that it's making sense. In this week's thing, I actually highlighted Saturday and Sunday in yellow, and I went back and did all of the other ones that are basically day charts, because I think that's where most people struggle.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes down to, I think, some of what we did, what we're going to talk about this week, but it's also all the way back to kind of deciding why this is important. So a lot of people are like, oh, I just don't know what to do on the weekends, and I have such a hard time. And I think it's because I actually think they do know what to do, because they do it during the week, and they just haven't decided that it's important enough to them. And I bring that up because we have some people that did their body specs yesterday that had some pretty incredible results. And I'm going to highlight Jenny Fatal, even though she's not here, because she did so freaking good. In like 3 months, she didn't lose any lean mass, and she dropped 4% fat mass, 4% body composition, body fat, basically. That's like really hard. Like, I don't know what she was doing. She must have been like absolutely perfect the entire time, because those are really, really impressive.
This doesn't discount her effort, because I was communicating with her multiple times a day about what she was doing. So I know what she was doing. But so she was very closely tracking her macros. She made sure to hit her protein every day. She was eating lean protein sources. So she did everything and did it very consistently. She very rarely deviated from that. So like practically perfect adherence. But I think anybody else that also did this would be able to do the same thing, wouldn't have gotten those results. Also because her body is changing after having a baby. So I think that made it more dramatic impact of causing a change with her baby stuff. Plus, like, perfect adherence made it like a very dramatic change in that period of time.
Yeah, that's kind of like unheard of. That percent change. It's a relative percent change, not an absolute pound change.
But the change that, like, absent being careful with yourself, like just when you have severe hormonal changes, can have impact plus or minus. But like, she did all the work. Like that is why it happened. She just as easily could have not done any of that work and maybe lost a little bit, but she also probably would have lost lean mass too.
Yeah.
Because her eating would have been different.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I bring this up because she probably, even though I bring it up because, actually, let's use Debbie. Debbie also did phenomenally well. She added 3 pounds of lean mass and also dropped 3 pounds of fat mass for an absolute change of 6 pounds. I didn't pay. I don't know if she gave me the number. No, she didn't send me her body spec, but she gave me those numbers. And she basically, that's also a very dramatic change. And I bring this up, and I bring up Jenny's case because I guarantee you, maybe not Jenny, because she said she was hungry pretty long ago. She was telling me, hey, should I up these macros? Because I'm pretty hungry all the time. But Debbie never said anything like that to me. She might have experienced that, but she never mentioned that to me. But it's like, she probably didn't realize the change that was kind of happening, because it's a slow burn. It's not and jumping back to like the very beginning of this, the whole point of this is like incremental change over a distance towards, or over a long time period, right? We're not looking for, I mean, you can, but it's not going to be something that you're going to be consistent with, which is the very first page of this week's little packet. It's a slow thing. Like Debbie, I forget what her last body spec was, but it was about 3 or 4 months ago. I don't recall. She probably wouldn't have said, like, if she'd looked at the scale every day, and she had been focusing on that only, she probably would have been discouraged and not gotten the results that she did, etc. Right? So it's, and like you see yourself, and your people around you see you, and I see you, and your coaches see you every day, right? And you may not necessarily see the changes, obvious changes that are happening in your body because you see people every time. But when you don't see someone for a long time, that's when you hear and see these kind of things like, oh my God, you look completely different. So we're about halfway through this, and my nudge, hint, hint, nudge, nudge is kind of for the people who aren't on this call and people here. It's kind of like stay the course, right? Just keep doing what you're doing. There's going to be, in the consistency little blurb, there's a James Clear little diagram that's like, there's ups, the right-hand side of it is like ups and downs, but the overall trend is in a better direction versus these massive, super extreme swings that, oh, I'm going to eat 1,000 calories a day for 3 weeks, and then, oh, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. It's not working. Yada, yada, yada. Stay the course is kind of my point, where I'm headed with that. Yeah.
I have a question,
So,
Will.
yes.
Okay, so I did the body spec thing in April, and
Okay.
I think we were doing Fit Sixes or something. But I hadn't done one since 2019. I sent it to you, but no muscle gain in like 5 years. But you said that there probably was, but then it was lost. So like,
well, if you had to assess your October, November, December of last year, would you say that you were setting yourself up optimally for muscle gain?
No. So you have to do it. Like, how many months do you think, like, so you're saying stay the course, but then like if there's like ups and downs within the course, how long once you're back on track to move back forward with the course? Like, how long does it take to?
I think you need to be diligent, 80, 90% compliant for at least 3 months before you can really say like, hey, something's weird, something's not working, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think I said this in one of our earlier meetings, just looking at absolute weights, like you stand on the scale one day, the next morning you stand on the scale, you theoretically can fluctuate 3 to 5 pounds just by water weight alone.
Yeah.
In one night, one sleep, you can fluctuate that much. So it's like you need a long enough time that you can kind of get a rough idea of the trend, but short enough that kind of gives you small wins along the way. I think that kind of happens. It depends on how good you're being. I think I would say 2 months, but I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's enough time.
Too short.
To really see
like,
substantial change.
Because like I was like, wow, it's been like 5 years since I did the body spec. So that's like
way too long. You're a different person than you were 5 years ago.
It's completely irrelevant. Like the change between then and now, like there's a change, but it's not super relevant to like the past 3 months or 6 months or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
I think Alan Aragon says you have to do something for at least 4 weeks before you even consider changing anything. And in terms of macros and stuff like that. Issue Sikowski and something like that too, 3 or 4 weeks. And I agree with that. And I still think it should be longer than that because, I mean, I don't know about any people on this call, but like in general, it takes me 3 or 4 weeks just to get in the routine of trying to make some of these changes, right? Like consistently making these changes. And then you need to give it some time just to do its job, right? So you're already looking at kind of closer to 6 to 8 weeks on the very fastest end before you realistically can even make an assessment of whether your intervention is doing what you want it to do. So yeah, I'd say at least 2 months, but realistically it is 3.
Okay.
But not longer than maybe 6, because that's almost like, it's like you don't know if you've gone too far in one direction either. right? You
Right.
might be, I mean, you probably can tell based on how you're performing, how you're feeling, how you look, right? If you've gone so extreme in one direction or the other, you're gonna know that before then. But like, what if you're a little bit off, and 6 months from now you're like, oh, I've been over my calorie count by like 10%, which realistically for a woman is somewhere around 100 to 200 calories a day. That doesn't seem like that much, right? That's like, it's not even a glass of milk a day, right? 8 ounces of milk is like a whatever 160 calories or whatever it is. But if you're over that much over every single day for 6 months, that's like 5 pounds. I don't know what the math would be, but like in the wrong direction. So often, but not too often.
Okay.
What the hell was I going to say about those damn vegetables?
I have a question.
Yes.
How long should we be in a deficit or not in a deficit? Like, should we cycle off of deficits, or should they be
Great.
more
That's a
prolonged?
great question. There is enough science that says your body kind of adapts to that kind of stuff. RP recommends a maintenance phase after a cut, which their cuts tend to last anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know enough about, I've never done, how do I say this? You should not be in a deficit forever. Let's put it that way. And for example, Jenny, coming back to her, she already was asking for more food and more calories, not asking me, right? Because I'm not the one giving her permission, obviously, but like she was already kind of like on that mindset or on that track of thinking before she did her body spec. So like that was obviously probably too much for her to sustain long term. So she definitely needs a maintenance phase. Versus if you're kind of like, oh, this is not that big a deal. It's either like you should feel like you want it, if that makes sense.
Want the deficit or want what?
No, no, you should feel like you want
food?
a maintenance phase. Yeah, you should want to kind of like cycle off of it. And if you don't,
like,
it's okay if you don't, but like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I'm at, I'm not like uncomfortable doing this. So I'm not like at the point where I feel like I need a higher calorie count right now because I feel like I'm like weak or like tired or something or extra hungry. But if I felt like I'm really restricting myself for the purpose of testing whether I could lose more fat, I wouldn't want to be doing that aggressively for more than 3-4 months at a time because I would get sick of it.
Right. And this is EC's kind of plug for nutrition. It's like she doesn't actually make people the third pillar of Lazy Macros, which I think we mentioned last week, but we didn't. I'm not like saying, hey, you guys need to do this because we're actually going to jump into calories in, calories out next week. But her big thing is like, before you even start this, just write down everything you eat and let's get an idea of what you're currently at, because that's, if your weight is not necessarily fluctuating a whole lot, realistically, it probably isn't. Like you're within a few pounds of each other or a few pounds every single day. That's your maintenance calories for your current body weight, right? That makes sense because that's what you're eating, approximately your average, and that's where you're at. So a deficit of 5 to 10% deficit of that would just be whatever that is underneath that maintenance calorie. Maintenance is what you're comfortable with. So you're kind of, it sounds like, Steph, you're in relative maintenance. I
haven't been losing weight. I mean, no. I mean, the weight has been the number that is when I don't pay too much attention, it just fluctuates plus or minus 2 pounds of around this weight. And so I'm not like, I haven't dipped below, but I don't really care that much. Like I wasn't trying to lose, like I wasn't like, I need to lose weight. So I didn't really care that much about being tighter on my calories.
Right. And you could probably sustain that relatively long term. Maybe not, and I'm not sure how strict you're being with your protein, but like the fact that you added 3 pounds of lean mass, even though you added a pound of fat mass, but 3 pounds of lean mass, you're still, that means you're getting enough calories that your body's saying, okay, I've got plenty. I can build whatever is being asked of me. And there's enough protein around in the environment to also build muscle in particular. And you're doing enough like resistance training that you're getting the stimulus that's necessary to build muscle. So realistically, like that's kind of you're in the perfect spot unless you're interested in getting a little bit leaner, a little smaller. But that's up to you, right? That's a preference thing. Versus, I don't know. I actually didn't ask Jenny what her goal was before she got super serious about this. But like, just if I had never spoken to her before in my life, and I looked at her numbers and I was looking at what she was doing, I'm like, she obviously is trying very hard to lose fat mass in particular, and she did a very good job at it. So
yes,
but and like I said in the message, like she shouldn't. It's time to take a break. To her,
even a brief break, like even just a reset. What am I doing? Break, not like
like a 4 to 6
months.
week thing. Yeah, I'd say like 4 to 6 weeks, maybe longer if she wants it, but probably the same as like Becca's question. How long should you be doing something? Probably not much longer than 2 or 3 months. And you need to make a reassessment. Am I happy with my maintenance and things like that?
I'm not saying this is what you should be doing, Becca, but I'm kind of cheap. So I only like to get the scans once a year. So I try to get them at the same time. This like between April and June. So sometime between like spring, because usually not go off the rails, but like I loosen up in holiday December time, and then I tighten up the January into spring. So by that many months in, I've had time to do something, because I don't really want to see a scan or pay for a scan where I know that I haven't been doing anything. Yeah. I mean, it probably would be helpful to see what the difference is, but I have enough of these that I know where I've fallen off and like where I need to go.
No, I feel like I know my body very well, but like I'm just trying to like gain muscle right now, and I am failing because I cannot do like I just haven't figured it out yet, like what's sustainable. So I feel like Will said, it has to be like consistent and it has to be like sustainable. So it should be like you should be able to do one every year, because if I try really hard for like 3 months and then I do a scan and it's great, but then I can't sustain it, then it was not for the purpose of life, which is not the point. So I have to figure out that. But then maybe once a year to see if it was like actually like relevant or sustainable, I guess. I feel like I'm working so hard and I feel like I'm eating more protein than I used to for sure, but I know that I'm still like nowhere near with the consistency of like how much I should be eating, because I'll regularly like forget to eat breakfast, and then like the rest of the day is like thrown off, and then like I have to get much more consistent with the protein. Like everything else is fine. Like I eat fruit, I eat vegetables, but like the protein for sure. And I think that's why I haven't gained the muscle that I wanted to.
In my experience, personally, and also working and talking to other people about this, if you are not like, how do I say this? This is not real. This is not true, but it should feel like it's almost not true. If you're not always feeling like you are under consuming protein, it's not enough. It almost feels like that to me all the time. And it seems like everyone who does this also should feel that way, because most of us are not getting enough.
I don't understand what you just said.
I don't know how to say what I'm saying.
Like,
You're
Say it in a dummy way.
You should feel like you're behind all the time on protein.
Great.
And like everything you do should be stuff your face with protein, because almost no one is getting close to where they should be at it.
that makes sense.
So, Becca, when you eat, is your problem that you just skip meals entirely, or when you do eat meals, you're like, I don't know what kind of protein, I don't like to eat protein, so you're eating meals that don't have protein
I mean,
in them?
I don't love protein, but I've gotten better. Like I've figured out lunch now. I have to figure out dinner still, but like I do better actually during the weekends than the week, because like the week is hard because it's like there's so much going on. The weekends I have more time. I can be like, okay, Becca, go like make breakfast or whatever. But
that's
I
where
think it's just
meal
also
prep-
a quantity. Oh, sorry.
I think that's where meal prep might work for you.
Yeah, it's just
Because-
also like hard to eat enough like chicken on my salad that it's tolerable to
But
be
if
like
you do meal prep, you'll just grab it. It's already prepared, and then it'll be easier. I'm pretty sure meal prep will benefit you.
I know the feeling of when you have like a dry chicken breast and it's cold and you're like, you feel like you're gagging on it because you don't want to be eating it. So is that like how you feel with certain kinds of protein? Like it just tastes.
No, I make it good enough. Like I won't touch raw meat, but I'll buy like chicken that's already cooked, and then I'll put like soyaki on it or something, and then I'll like make it better. It's just, I think it's just a quantity thing. Is like I'll just like I will make my salad and I will take it to work for like lunch or whatever. I bought the cute bento box, like, because that's what works for me. It has to be like fun, otherwise like I'm not gonna eat it. But then I just won't finish like the chicken that's on there, and the chicken that's on there is only like 2.75 ounces or whatever, and that was like the main protein for the day. So
it's hard. I went to Benihana's last night because it was a birthday thing. That's like full of protein, and I think I got teriyaki chicken, and I didn't want to eat it all. And I had to keep saying to myself, eat more of this chicken, eat more, because, the rice was looking delicious.
Way more fun. Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. It's hard.
Cause I'll do that plus like always a bar, always a shake. And then I'm like maybe at 70 grams if I'm like lucky. And then to figure out dinner. So I think I need to meal prep dinner. So this might be my week.
Give it a try.
How difficult is the shake to get down?
That's fine. I buy the Orgain ones that are already shook.
So try
the Costco ones.
Yeah, the vegan ones.
Do mid-morning shake and a mid-afternoon shake. So do
two of them.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
not optimal, but like if you're having trouble eating it because of for whatever reason, if you have an option that you are like, to me, I don't know if this is your experience, but like to me, I don't get full from protein shakes. I don't even realize that it's just water to me.
It's
the Orgain shakes a little bit different. But like I drink it as if it's water, and it does not fill me up. And it's a simple way to get. It's not the best way, right? Real food would be better.
No.
But it's if you're not even close, or if you're like struggling to get there, and you can't eat more, that seems to me like a simple solution. In
I think I
addition
need
to
to set
having
an
the meal
alarm so that they're spaced out, because I think part of my problem is the beginning of the days I literally forget, and then it'll be noon, and then I'll be like, okay, now I have to drink my protein shake, and then I'll wait like another 2 hours and then go to lunch. But I should just set an alarm and do it twice a day. I think this is a good idea.
Or it's the first thing you do when you wake up every day.
Oh,
that's hard.
Before coffee?
Yeah.
Do you drink
with
coffee?
your coffee? Put some collagen in your coffee.
Yeah, I do that. I have a protein shake with my coffee in the morning. Because it's hard to eat enough protein in the morning, you're racing to get to workout. So I'll have something quick. And then, like I get from Costco, I get egg white frittatas. So I might have a couple of those, but then it's like, that's not enough. So I'll have with my coffee a protein shake. So that's another 30 grams of protein. And a protein shake fills me up. I'm never hungry anymore. And
she also doesn't ever drink water. So
I drink
like,
water. I drink 20 ounces after every, and I drink, because Bonnie told me to, I drink 16 ounces of water before I ever put my feet over the side of the bed. I do that every morning. So that's at least 36 ounces. And then
water is life.
Yeah.
Life is water.
Well, you'll know if you're drinking enough water by how often you go to the bathroom.
Well, and what it looks like. Because I can tell when I've had not enough water. Like today. I had wine.
Anyway, we digress. The point being,
one other thing, can I mention, Becca? So I don't know if your weekday workday is erratic or if you have a generally the similar schedule.
No, I'm just erratic.
So maybe this might be a little rigid, but like what helped me was actually scheduling a time of day that I needed to eat certain, like by 9 a.m. because if I got up every day by 9 a.m. I needed to have eaten this so that I can eat again at 11:30, that I can eat again at 2:30, that I can eat.
Yeah.
So like, and then you give yourself a 30-minute plus or minus. And so then you don't get off track and it's just like an assignment. You do it and then you move on to the next thing.
I'm going to do that this week.
Do you eat before you go to work out? Steph?
Me?
She works out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, Steph.
Oh.
5:15.
Yeah, I have 20 ounces of coffee and I put a scoop of the chocolate Vital Proteins collagen in it. And I put carbs, like 60 calories of carbs. I don't know what that is. And it's not 60 grams of carbs, but carbs in my, like a powder in my coffee so that I have something in me. Because I can't eat food at 5 in the morning. And then go right to the gym and
15 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
What do you do? What are you putting in there? Is it just maltodextrin?
Yeah. Did I not?
No, I'm just curious how you're adding it.
Yeah, I just put that in, shake it, drink it over the course of the workout. I go home within an hour of being home. I'll have like 30 grams of protein in a protein powder and then add another 10 of collagen protein. And then that would like probably 24 ounces of water. And then I eat like 2 cups of fruit, 1 to 2 cups of fruit. That's my
what time is that happening at?
Usually between 7:45 and 8:30, depending on what I'm doing that morning.
And I'm asking that because how much protein are you at right now?
What do you mean?
Like
total
you're like
for the
45
day?
grams? Yeah. 45 grams?
Oh, at that point, like I've already had 10 with my morning, like before I get to the gym, and then it's another 30 plus 10. So that's the 40. So 50. I'm at 50 at that point.
So basically 50 grams of protein drunk before 8 a.m. That's so I only bring that up because I feel like I don't like it. Would be ideal if we were eating it. And what's funny to me is the hack to eating more protein is basically just adding more of the same protein that you're eating, just a little bit more to every single meal, like 150% of that. But if you're already having trouble eating that serving size,
yeah.
And I actually do too. I'm really full. I have the every table meals. They have like anywhere between 25 to 40 grams of protein. Most of them are like right around 30 grams of protein. I'm full by the time I'm done with them. I don't want more. So I just drink a protein shake with the meal. Like that's my dessert. And so I get another 25 to 30 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
But how good is this protein shake stuff for your body?
It's
like,
not. Oh, I know. I thought you meant tasting.
Really worried about that. Like, so that's the part I'm struggling with. Like, you're putting these things in your body that aren't, in my mind, maybe great for you.
it's
There are a lot of
it's-
things we put in our body that aren't great for us.
that are probably far worse than basically milk protein. That's all it is. Whey protein is a derivative of milk. That's all it is. Same with casein, depending on whether what collagen is a derivative of.
But like, what is
Cow.
the,
Let's just say cartilage of probably beef, right?
Yeah. But so you can buy cleaner proteins, or you could buy really trashy ones, just like you could buy clean meat that doesn't have any additives, or you could buy processed meat in the freezer section. So protein shakes and bars also run the spread of trash to really clean.
Mm-hmm. So your sourcing matters. I honestly don't believe, though, like if you're 30, 40, 50% of your daily protein intake on a regular long time, I would say buy the cheapest protein powder you can and just get your damn protein in, kind of a thing. Like it's unlikely anything you're going to encounter in on nutrition, like the one that they sell at Costco, that's 10-pound bag or whatever. Anything you're going to find in there is detrimental to the point that you shouldn't be consuming it if you're under proteined by 50% or so.
Is not detrimental or is detrimental?
It's worse not getting the protein than it is consuming the minuscule component of that protein shake.
That's potentially there. That's not necessarily there. That's potentially there and inside of it, right?
This is if we're not able to eat enough food protein. This is like the backup. This is like, for me, this is a backup. This is like, we're just trying to like get back on track here.
Yeah. I mean, even like real food, right? Foster Farms chicken, that's theoretically raised without hormones and all this stuff. Like, it's still not.
Still processed.
Still not like clean. You did not birth and raise that chicken in your backyard and make sure that it's right. There's risk
The chicken.
or like raise or whatever
I
you
lay
want to
the
call.
eggs.
I don't know what you do with the eggs, right? So like in reality, our food environment is and E.C. Sikowski talks about this a lot. Her friend, what's his name? Jason or something. I don't know. They talk about this all the time. It's like you have all these fear-mongering Instagram accounts and news articles coming out about like the dangers of inorganic pesticide-laden fertilized produce, for example, scaring people into not eating these things because they don't want to buy organic, B don't want to consume these things, when it's like it would take or Coke, like the synthetic sugars in sodas, it's like 1,000 cans of soda is the lowest detectable amount of harm that a person could consume. And there's all this fear mongering, and I'm not a proponent for you drinking diet sodas, but like it's not as big a deal as if you were just not eating protein and produce, kind of a thing. It's like it's not, that should not be the concern. It should be more about like let's just try and get eating correctly first, and then we can worry about the nuances of what's specifically in our foods, because food, unlike supplements, is heavily regulated and very, very, very let's just say regulated. Versus supplements, there is technically no governing body that is responsible for no federal like government body.
FDA does not regulate supplements.
No. However, there are supplements, to Stephanie's point, there are supplements that there are companies that like will give them the go ahead, the check mark, that they were tested and clean and exactly what they say that is in those supplements. Third-party companies that do that are better than other supplements on the shelves and things like that. So, but anyway, I digress. Back to, I still think protein in particular is like the least of the worries. There's no concern there.
It's like the poster in the bath that you look at when you go into the bathroom that has a farm with a cow and a goat, and a chicken and so you're on a farm and that's like the most pure. And then on the other side, there's, a factory making food or whatever it does. So in between there is what we're eating. So you have to decide where on that spectrum you want to stay, and sometimes go off a little bit to the wrong side, but there's a trade-off. I'm not going to go out and butcher a chicken or a cow.
You guys should all read The Omnivore's Dilemma. It's really good book.
We're watching a show on what's it on? BBC, I think, and it's about a guy that's going to be a farmer, and he gets cows and chickens and sheep and stuff and sends them off to the butcher. And it's so you kind of learn about how they're raised, because even the animals that are being raised can eat better and worse food. Some of them are eating good, grass out in the fields, and some of them are in.
They're eating their dead neighbors.
Yeah, they're so you just have to try to trust where you're getting your
Just
food.
close your eyes and eat the food. Like
Right.
at a restaurant, I'm certain they're buying the cheapest chicken, the cheapest meat possible. They're not serving organic stuff.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
And in the scheme of things, like there's I don't know what the word would be. I can't think of it right now, but like what's the degrees of separation? Kevin Bacon, right? Protein powder is about as simple to end products to process as almost possible, versus like an Impossible Burger is about as processed as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
And that's technically considered food, right? More people would consider that safe food than they would a protein powder, but in reality, it's like the complete opposite. So
It was gross.
And that's kind of the point of this. Like, it's just trying to bring, every week we try and bring awareness to different things and topics like this, because a lot of people don't have any idea.
Mm-hmm. You just have to be aware and read all the labels. Because on the protein shakes, I've started reading the labels, and some of them have more chemicals than others. And some of them, like I was comparing one that I thought, oh God, that one has a lot more calories, but it also had a lot more calcium, which is, I need a lot more calcium. So I thought, okay, well, maybe that's the trade-off. But so I just have to.
She's referring to a pure protein shake versus Fairlife organic or Fairlife milk protein shake.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, one is ultra filtered milk, just intentionally processed to retain as much protein as possible and remove as much fat and carbohydrate as they can, versus a completely synthetic product. But I also I really truly believe, like, if you're not getting enough protein, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not gonna. There's time and time again, the studies are basically shown and proven that if something has basically passed the rigorous tests that the FDA put on food and food products, you can probably trust it will not cause any problems long term.
Well,
regardless of the level.
I mean, if you you ate it every day for 50 years or 60 years or 70 years, yeah, maybe it will, but who cares? I'm not going to care. I'm gonna be
Unless
dead.
it's been banned in Europe. If it's been banned in Europe, try to avoid it.
Start considering avoiding it. Right, exactly. But it's like most of the stuff that we are consuming is not banned in Europe. It's not banned anywhere, right?
Yes.
It's not that big a deal. So, okay, so this week's is basically meal prepping. And the idea is like the different tiers of prescription, the beginner, intermediate, RX, and advanced, are just like incorporating the things that we've kind of quality-wise talked about to this point, and a little bit of quantity-wise talked about to this point. So beginner is essentially like, and we talk about consistency. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, there you go. Atomic Habits, there you go. Clean prepared meals. Clean just means like week one, we talked about trying to remove as much processed stuff as we can. And to my mom's point, the little thing in front of when you sit down on the toilet, the reason why I put those on that one, because I wanted people to look at it when they sat down on the toilet, regardless if they're paying attention to it or not. Food typically would not have a label. Products have labels. So
Right.
the cleaner something is, the less stuff it would technically have on a food label. One point though, everything's made up of chemicals. You're not going to avoid chemicals. Like look up the chemical compounds of a banana. Everything's got chemicals, so don't be scared by that. But a laundry list of ingredients should give you a little bit of concern and pause, right? But anyway, back to beginner plus portioned prepared meals. Basically 2 palms worth of protein, fists of vegetables, thumb size fat, and if you want to, hand cupped amount of carbs. Intermediates, lazy macros compliant prepped meals, so hitting protein goals, hitting vegetable goals, fruits and vegetables. And then advanced, I wrote zone. This is where we're going to head in 2 weeks from now. And if people are already there, great. If you know what that is. Zone is essentially what I like to tell people to start with when they're starting to do their macros. And it's essentially, this is not correct. They do it in blocks. But the way it ends up working out is 40% of their calories are coming from carbohydrates, 30 from fat, and 30% from protein. That's what technically zone does. And they just break it up into these little blocks that kind of make it more interesting. My mom, actually, when I was a kid, they made me do zone. They brought me hamburgers to school. Do you remember that, Mom?
No, I don't remember. I remember the zone diet.
They were trying to correct my behavior problems with zone.
Did it work? Obviously not.
No,
I don't think so.
it didn't work.
But anyways, macro compliant prepped meals. So basically, like if you're and this week, the advanced level is like, this is getting pretty serious. Like you're weighing and measuring your food, you're preparing your meals, like that's pretty serious. So yeah, that's the challenge for this week.
Not necessarily cook everything on Sunday for the rest of the week, but I have identify what you're going to eat ahead of time and shop for it, so it's easier to cause it to happen.
I think develop the habit. Like what I would say was the point of this is like plan your meals at least 2 days in advance. And I say 2, I said 1. I had 1 before I looked at this again today before I rewrote it. And I said 2 because like I kind of pointed at in the beginning of this, the weekends for most people tend to be the worst days. So if you can have a plan going into your weekend, you will, even if you don't follow it, you will probably make better decisions than if you didn't have a plan.
We had a plan this weekend.
Uh-oh. That sounds like I screwed something up.
We did. We had a plan and we're following it. I mean,
oh, good. I thought I was getting sarcastically in trouble.
Her plan didn't involve you.
Yesterday, but we did have a plan, and planned ahead and I bought some meals and some salads and stuff to eat. And we planned out when we were gonna eat what meal with what salad and additional items, avocado or whatever. So we had it all planned out. And after we get done with the call, we'll finish our plan.
Oh, you know, it's interesting. Darn. Okay, this would have been a really good week to kind of break this up. I'm just going to make a little plug for our air fryer. So I found when I was cooking regularly, when I wasn't coaching the evenings and the super early mornings, when I was doing a good job of prepping or cooking, I should say, the Taylor Farms the salad kits,
Yeah.
and are awesome for 2 people. Like one kit is good for 2 people, and then you have whatever protein source you're going to do. You throw it in the air fryer. You do your little whatever rub you're going to put on it, and we're not being super duper like this can't have any added sugar because it's got like 3 grams of added sugar. Big freaking deal, right? Shake that stuff on top of there, and you've got lunch or dinner done in 10 minutes, and it's awesome. It tastes really, really good, and it makes it very simple to eat clean. But anyway, aside.
And if you want to stretch those salads, you can buy regular lettuce and add it to.
And add it in. Yes, we've done that too. When our produce box is running, like getting a little old, and we need to get rid of the lettuce that we haven't eaten yet, we just throw a little bit extra in there. Same thing with protein, right? If your protein's like been sitting in your fridge for a couple days, oh, your main protein was steak. Oh, let's put a couple pieces of chicken in there just to get get rid of it too.
I have the Dole chopped sunflower crunch, and we're going to add an avocado to that. That's our fat.
Got to be careful. Avocado is pretty fatty.
I know. I eat a half of one a day. We'll find out in 3 months what that's going to do.
Well, you know what's cool is there's this thing called Google, and you can Google how much fat is in half an avocado.
Want to know. She doesn't want to know.
I don't know. I know it's more than but it's a way to.
I don't know if it is, actually, to be honest with you. I don't know.
It's probably better than eating ribeye. Well, there's protein in ribeye, but there's more fat.
Yeah.
And the types of fat is not optimal, right? How many grams of fat are in an avocado?
A serving is a quarter of a medium, right?
Oh my God, a quarter
of a medium.
But that's a medium. See, the one I have is small.
Well, I kind of think the ones at the store that are said small are actually medium.
Oh.
Yes.
Like it's really small. It's honestly like the size of your thumb is a portion of avocado as a serving of avocado.
Which would be like barely a quarter of a medium. Yeah.
It's sad. That's why I don't.
How much protein is in cottage cheese?
It depends.
Is that
the trouble?
The
trouble with dairy is it often comes, depending on the fat content you purchase with, could be equally calorically dense with fat. Like full fat Greek yogurt is like, I don't know, 10 or 12. Let's look it up.
Bowl of ice cream.
But like cottage cheese,
I would.
Egg in the morning, is that a good breakfast for protein?
I didn't hear what you said.
Cottage cheese and an egg in the morning.
It's better than not. Yeah.
Okay.
I think a serving size of let's see, what kind of fat is this? This looks like, it doesn't say.
But if you get low fat cottage cheese, like the lower the fat, doesn't it go up in sugar though? Like they're subbing something like it.
Oh, I don't know.
Something else flips when you get like if you got fat-free cottage cheese, it tastes like crap first of all, and then it's like I think that the carb maybe relative to the protein, the carb I feel like and sugars goes up, but the fat is down. It maybe doesn't matter, but there's like it doesn't just take the fat away, something else goes up.
Yeah, to offset it, to make it more palatable, basically.
Or maybe the ratio of like wet, like water or whatever's in there has more lactose or something in it. I don't know.
Pretty much, if you can do 10 grams, like a general rule of thumb is 10 grams of protein for every 100 calories of whatever you're eating is a pretty good ratio of protein to calories.
So 1/10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anywhere around there would be really good. And it's very probable that you're not like, if you so a gram of protein technically is 4.3. It's a little bit less because of thermic effect of food, but let's just say 4. How about that? 1 gram of protein is about 4 calories of energy. So 10 grams of protein is 40 grams of that 100 calories, let's say.
Okay.
But 1 egg is only 6.
Yeah, eggs are low, but like the point is she's stacking, which is good. That's the trick. Like if you have trouble eating protein, like the chicken's not enough, you could do like a little mixture of rice and beans or lentils or
hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, like chop up a hard-boiled egg on top of a salad on top of that chicken. Like you gotta, if you can stack protein, that's a really good strategy too. Especially if you can get away with not even noticing it.
But for me, an
Okay.
egg, cottage cheese would be enough protein. I'd have to have a protein shake or something because that's nowhere near 30 grams.
Well, it depends on how much cottage cheese you have, but I guess
Well-
you're gonna have enough cottage cheese for it to be an adequate serving. But like, I'm looking at this. It says 1 cup of skimmed milk cottage cheese, which I would guess is maybe
Low
2%,
fat.
probably.
Probably
It's
2%.
20. A cup of cottage cheese though is kind of a lot. I don't know the last time you served cottage
It is
cheese
a
to
lot.
yourself. A cup is a lot. Like I'm kind of over that texture and flavor at around a half cup, but it's 25 grams of protein.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. But that, I mean, for me, I can't eat that much dairy.
That's a whole nother story. I shouldn't, but I do.
Oh, on the meal
looked at me.
prepping, when I make, well, she's like, please don't. I get that in my house. When you make dinner, like if you're making a protein with your dinner, I feed four people, but I usually make like 6 to 8 servings. And then
Yeah.
the leftovers is what I eat for the next couple meals. So I try to buy more food than I actually need to serve at a dinner, and then purposely stack that in the fridge and then use it for my next few days worth of meals.
That's smart.
Cool. Becca, also look into something called Huel, Huel. Huel. It's like a meal replacement thing. Like if you're having trouble getting enough my solution for people who aren't getting enough protein specifically and also calories is drink them. And so you're kind of looking for not just a protein shake, but kind of a meal replacement. Again, it's not optimal, but it's like if you're not getting the calories anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, I think it's
in my
smart.
opinion.
All the things I like are liquid. I like smoothies. I like water. I like protein
There
shakes.
you go. There you go.
Liquid.
We may have solved your problem.
We might have.
Found a
And I like
solution, I
candy,
should
as
say.
you know. And I plan for my candy accordingly. Do you remember when you came up with car candy for me, Will? And I
Yeah.
only ate candy in the car after the gym?
Yep.
It solved my problem until summer, and then it all melted. And then I had to stop car candy. I was so sad. I went in there one day after the gym in the summer, and all my gummy candy had melted. And I was like, that's the end of car candy.
Oh,
It was the end of
it's
an
so
era.
delicate
But
too.
Or
it really worked, though.
it was the extravaganza. It was all of the candy in one go.
My funny candy story is I think pinatas are so boring with that hard candy. So I'm an idiot. I put all the good chocolate pinata. And when came out and the kids were banging it open, everything was melted.
Oh my
Dumb,
gosh.
dumb.
Oh,
There's a reason there's hard candy in the pinons.
They had it figured out.
Yes.
okay. We'll
All
see you
right.
guys next Sunday. Text,
Bye.
call, talk. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.